Chapter 15. Pasts. "Hey, Alice," I sang, walking into the kitchen with the box. I kicked the door closed behind me. "It's a present." Alice's eyes narrowed, as if aggravated by my very presence. At this point, I think my actions annoyed her more than my presence. "Don't open it," Hal ordered. "If you don't open it, then you won't know what it is," Eve mewed. I shook the box with no hesitation and tried to figure out what the package could hold. The sound was that of something heavy, but there was still a clear amount of space in the closed container. It had to weigh at least 4 pounds, maybe more. I shook it from side to side, listening and feeling the movements from the hidden gift. Little sound was made, giving me the impression that the object was close to the same length of the box. Hal and Alice seemed to be in total shock and maybe fear, but not exactly as to what I was doing. A smirk covered my lips. "I have a pretty good idea of what this box is, even if I don't know exactly what it holds. I guess I can thank the fragments of my memories for that." "Stop doing that!" Hal snapped. "And why would I do that?" I laughed slightly. I'm sure if they understood what I did, they'd be laughing too. It kind of feels good to be the one in charge. "Do you think this is some kind of game?" Alice spat. "Actually, yes. Look, this thing isn't going to hurt anyone. It's just the first step, and the moment someone opens it, the phone will ring," I explained, putting the box on the kitchen table. "How can you be so calm about this?" Eve questioned. I noticed that she didn't seem afraid of the package. Unlike Alice and Hal, maybe she sees something that they don't. "Well, according to the first clue, there was 3 steps leading up to finding it. The first step was hitting the sky with Alice's weapon. Next, we found an equation with a missing variable that was discovered on the address of the warehouse where we found the glove. Lastly, when you put in the address of the building, it gave the number 304, which spells Hal when turned, giving the impression that the clue would affect him. After Hal woke up, he had all of his memories, and remembered that his brother had been knocked out with a fire extinguisher, and it just so happens that Eve opened the door to the building with a fire extinguisher. With this information and the key card that was given to us by the killer himself, we looked up information on the analyst, giving us the first step in discovering the second clue. The second step, I believe, will begin when we open this package given to us by the killer yet again. Just as the key card was given to Eve, this present is given to Alice. Video games work in 3-part patterns normally. Just like when fighting a monster, there are 3 steps that must be taken, or 3 set of hits to destroy it. With the games that I remember, an item is always given to the players to defeat the next boss, and without it, the game cannot be played on. "I just didn't think it would be this easy," I explained, with a sense of vanity to my own thoughts. "You are finding this easy?" Hal questioned, concerned. "This is the tutorial. The real game hasn't even begun." Eve's phone, and only her phone, rang with that simple phrase. She pulled it from her pocket, looking at the newly received message. Confusion filled her expression as she handed me her phone. "It's for you," she said. I took hold of the mirror-like cover, reading the message with a blank expression. "Very good, blank. But are you ready for the real game? So you're finally interested." A smirk crossed my lips as I gave Eve her phone back. "Seems he likes us," I spoke. "What does he mean, real game?" Eve questioned, showing Hal and Alice the message. "I don't know. I can only assume that he's going to make this harder," I said. "Alice, open the box," Hal ordered with a serious expression. "You're really going to listen to some blank?" Alice growled. Hal's eyes narrowed. Alice huffed, pulling the ribbon from the package with little care. "She really hates me, but I'm sure about this. Still, I have no idea what's in that box." She ripped the paper carefully, and with hesitation, opened the box. We all stared into the opening with confusion. I really didn't expect that. A stack of paper, with several black lines, scattered across the white sheets. They sat in the bottom, along with a single silver key. "Nice clue, blank," Hal spat. "I don't understand." A long sigh escaped his lips as he brushed his hand through his eyes. "Alice, does this mean anything to you?" She remained silent as her eyes scanned across the paper. Eve's eyes grew big like a child's. Alice, birdies! I squinted in a loss, and Hal was right there with me. Alice looked up from the pointless lines. Birdies! We can do birdies again! Eve seemed overjoyed with this realization for some reason or another. No, I hate birdies. Besides, I said I wasn't going to do that anymore. It's nothing but a childish dream, Alice said angrily. Eve placed 3 fingers, excluding her thumb and pinky from both hands, on both of her cheeks. Remember? What are they talking about? Hal asked me. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I've seen this before in the extended time I've been here, I spat sarcastically. Eve remained with her hands on her face, waiting for Alice to do something. I looked at Alice with curiosity. Wait, what is that? A line of water rested on Alice's left eye line. Is she going to cry? Wait, she has a soul? Birdies for Brooke? Eve finished with a hushed tone. Who's Brooke? I asked Hal in a whisper. I don't exactly know, but I've heard the name before, Hal answered. Why would you bring her up? Alice choked. Because do you remember what you promised her? You said you'd win this game no matter what, said Hal. I promised a lot of things. They don't matter in this world, Alice barked. A promise is a promise, and you can still keep yours. Silence filled the room, as Alice thought. Fine. I'll make birdies. But I swear you never say her name again, got it? Alice threatened. Eve puffed her cheeks, her fingers still pressed against her skin. Alice sighed, before doing the same with her hands. Never fault, never let go. We are 5, and we are strong. The 2 spoke in unison, before dropping their hands from their faces. Alice picked up the box of paper, walking it up the stairs without a word. Eve looked towards us with a grin. Mind explaining what just happened? Hal fake smiled. Eve's lips widened, giving her the appearance of someone who was utterly insane. She lifted her finger to her lips, turning her head slowly to the right, keeping her finger directly up. It's a secret. You're not going to snap and kill us, are you? I asked, really not knowing if she would or not. You owe me gummies, she replied, and left the kitchen. I'm so confused. I threw my left hand into the air with a total doneness. She said 5, correct? Hal questioned and bit his thumbnail. Yeah, so? Before you came here, there were 5 teams, not just 4. Eve and Alice were part of that team before it fell apart, Hal suggested. You guys weren't always in a group? That would be idiotic if you even believe that. No. In fact, many of the teams that exist now have not been together for that long. Our teams existed for only 5 months, and we're the oldest group. Teams fall apart constantly due to deaths and just plain not getting along. I've been in more than a fair share of teams myself, but after being placed to rank 1, it's not exactly easy to make friends. I'm sure you realize that Ian will do everything and anything to kill player 1. That includes using the teammates against them. If Alice or Eve ever wanted to kill me, I'm sure they could have, but that's the risk. Ian will come after Eve now, and I have no doubt that Alice will stay by her side. As cruel as it may sound, I will only remain here because this is the best chance I have at surviving. If this makes you think less of me, then so be it, but I'm playing to finish. John, I do want to cut a deal with you, though. If, for any reason, you no longer wish to remain a part of Team 1, you won't lay a hand on those 2, no matter what team you would join. I nodded, unsure of what I agreed to. I never really thought about leaving. I'm sure that other teams would want me. I mean, I did find a clue, and I know how this game works, but would I actually leave? Come on, I'm sick of all this talk. Hal picked up what looked like a guitar case and began walking from the house. I picked up a pistol and a knife from the table and placed them in the pouches Alice had attached to the brace. I followed Hal to the front door to see him already on the other side of the fence. I ran after him, and soon we found ourselves in a place I haven't seen before. We were in town, but I hadn't been to this specific place. It seemed so much more run down and barren than the other parts. I'd have to guess that this would be the ghetto. Hey, Hal, what are we doing here? I promised Eve gummies, he said, searching the area. And we had to come here to get them, I asked, staring over the broken glass and garbage that's scattered across the world. No. This is where we get the credits to buy them. Come on, there's a power box up ahead. Hal motioned for me to follow as he continued to run deeper into the ghetto. I rolled my eyes for the fact that I didn't agree to this. Why a power box, though? I mean, what exactly is a credit and how do we get them? I think Eve said something about earning credits from killing zeros. I arrived at an empty, four-way intersection. I searched for the shirtless boy. Never thought I'd be doing that. Hal didn't seem to be anywhere. Or at least, anywhere I can see. Does everyone in this world just disappear? A heavy sigh escaped my lips as I walked to the center of the empty street. Maybe he just made a quick turn? I scanned down all 4 roads. An object appeared in the horizon. It really didn't look like Hal. Rather, it didn't look human. It stared down at me with red eyes, and neither of us moved. I took a short step away from the shadow, grabbing the knife from its hold. My thumb flipped the switch with a steady motion, giving the weapon an icy glow. I won't lie. In fact, I don't even know how, but this thing makes my heart jump. I'm afraid of it because I don't know what it is. Such a stupid reason, especially due to the fact that I don't remember most of anything. Hell, I don't even know what a gummies is. I still think it's food, but I'm not so sure. The creature seemed to morph and change from its blob form into that of a dog. It kept its purple coloring and red eyes, but other than that, no similarities remained. If I hadn't just seen it change, I wouldn't even think that they were the same thing. The creature began to rush towards me, snarling its teeth. I readied myself for the incoming attack. Nothing has changed in this week. I am still afraid, and I am still confused. For a moment, I had forgotten exactly where I was. I had forgotten that our lives are on the line, and that with one mistake, it's game over. I forgot that this is real. For only a moment I was having fun, but that second of illusion is over, and reality's set back in. That's always the problem with video games. The dog jumped in an attempt to gain a deadly bite. I ducked, only to hear the dog yelp in pain. The creature fell away from me against the hard concrete with a thump. I stood, surprised that the creature would just fall over in mid-attack. I walked over to the monster, kicking the limp purple being. 1s and 0s formed around the creature, beginning in the center of its forehead, where a black hole lay. The numbers surrounding quickly taking the creature away from sight, leaving a card that looked much like a credit card. "Don't just leave it," Howe's voice echoed through the empty town. I looked up, toward the source of the sound. Hal laid on top of one of the empty buildings. He lay with a black gun with a long nozzle and zoom lens. I noticed that his shaggy black bangs were being held back from his forehead with something. The boy sat up with a large grin as I picked up the card. "They gave the OCD guy the sniper gun?" I questioned, loud enough for him to hear. "That just means I'll never miss," he laughed, much like a child. "Come on. We're gonna need to kill at least 40 of these things to get enough credits for gummies." "All that for gummies? What are they, some kind of weapon or computer thing?" I called, truly not knowing. "You're an idiot. It's candy." "What is candy, exactly?" "You're really a blank, aren't you?" Hal questioned, motioning for me to come up the building. I walked over to the side of the worn brick and boarded windows of what looked like a shoe store. A ladder rested against the right alleyway. "But it's not like I forgot what a shoe or a bank was," I argued, and climbed the rusty metal. "That just means you haven't played any video games with candy in them," Hal explained, helping me up. Hal sat in the gravel that rested on top of the roof. I joined him, looking out on the midday sun. I'd have to say it was just about noon, maybe around 1. "So, I forgot anything that I haven't seen in a video game?" I asked. "And I for everything that I haven't read in a book," Hal smiled, and let his face touch the sun's light. "Do you know the last time I fired that gun?" he asked in a giddy way. I shook my head no. 4 months and 19 days ago. Oh, I miss the afternoon sun. Hal sighed with a warmness I don't think I've ever seen in him. "How did you become Player One anyway?" I asked, with the naive hope for an answer. His warm expression turned into the cold one I've come to know. "If I told you, you'd leave." "How would you even think that?" I replied. Is what he did really that bad that I would leave? According to the surprise on Alice's and Eve's face when he talked about his past, I'm sure they don't know. Because you didn't leave before when Ian offered you to join his team, he sighed, laying his back against the rocks. What does that have to do with why he was rank 1? What does that have to do with anything? I questioned. A short laugh, nothing like the one before, escaped his lips. You're a stupidly trusting child, but that's what I like about you. Tell you what, if we ever meet a situation where I don't see a way out, I'll tell you. Then when we beat this game, you have to tell me as well, I counteroffered. Deal?